Welcome back to another episode of the Hardcore Casual with your boy, Bass the Kid. As always, please like and subscribe, share with a friend, colleague, a relative, an associate, an enemy, any and all in between. It is appreciated. Now, there's a couple things that took place last week, but they've kind of bled into this week along with some other stuff that I feel all kind of makes sense. So when you hear it, I think it will make sense to you. Yeah, don't forget, memberships are there if you're interested in all of that stuff. The more members on the channel, the more members only content will sort of start to come through. So yeah, please join up, become a member, and blah blah blah. Anyway, for right now, there's a couple things I want to really delve into. So without further ado, let's get into it. So it's now been officially confirmed that Showtime will be out of the boxing business moving forward. Now, I think their contract with the PBC expires in 2024. I'm not sure when exactly, or it might be even like in December this year. But they're no longer going to be putting on any boxing events. Hence why I guess since maybe July time, earlier on this year, actually no, I think even earlier than that, you haven't seen any cards that have been, you know, scheduled outside of their pay-per-view, their pay-per-view function. Now, a lot of people have said, you know what, it's a bad thing. Obviously HBO dropped out, now Showtime are dropping out. Boxing's really sort of in a dark place. Look, it is a bit bad that, you know, you've got other companies and that are no longer seeing the value in boxing, or that boxing isn't really driving a subscriber base. But with a platform like Showtime, I mean, look, realistically, similar to HBO, it was kind of going to be inevitable. The people that subscribe to those platforms, especially like in America, they subscribe for like story-based content, entertainment-based content, films, TV series, documentaries. They're not really sports platforms like that. So even the people that have them at home, they're not really hitting the same, you know, demographic and targets. So it makes a bit of sense to me as to why their subscriber base wouldn't wholeheartedly be, you know, sports heavy or boxing heavy for that matter. Now, in terms of the PBC, we did speak the other day. Now, they say that they're looking at the Amazon thing, Amazon Prime. It's a good place for them, but as I said before, Jeff Bezos, like, I don't think he's really in the market and in the business of losing money. And when you see that, like, the PBC have been at ITV in the UK, they've been at NBC, they've been USA, they've been Spike TV, they've been Fox, you know, Showtime, and for some reason it never seems to work anywhere that they go, that would probably ring alarm bells, as I said before, which is why DAZN in its entirety makes the most sense, because anyone who goes to DAZN is actually a sports consumer. They consume sports. It's a sports app. It may not necessarily be the sport that you want, but you know that if you go there, you're going there specifically for sports. You're not getting TV dramas and films. You might get like sports-based documentary content which looks like film production, but that's what you're there for. So to be totally honest, the more promoters that you can get on any one platform, the better, because at least that way you get rid of the across the street red tape. Even if the promoters don't want to work with each other, the broadcaster will tell you, no, you guys need to get this together, make the biggest fights to make us the most money. That's literally how it would work. So personally, I would like to see them move over to DAZN, but I think the Amazon deal is sorted at this point, so I guess we just got to kind of deal with that. But yeah, in terms of Showtime, look, I don't know Steven Espinosa as a person, but all the comments and stuff I hear about him, he doesn't really seem like the greatest of execs. And I guess at some point he probably got too pally with Al Heyman and the PBC and started acting more like a promoter than, you know, a studio exec, because ultimately he should have been demanding certain fights get made, and he wasn't doing that. Hence why some of the product was, you know, unfortunately it was a bit subpar. He should have been demanding certain people fight certain people, make it happen, and not putting every single decent thing that you do behind the paywall on pay-per-view. Because if you put it on pay-per-view, no one's gonna watch it. Not until you get people invested into someone's journey. That takes years to do. You can't just put a fight because it's a semi-decent fight, putting it straight on pay-per-view. That's not really gonna work, and we've seen that now. So yeah, I don't know what he does moving forward, but them's the breaks. Like I said, it'll be interesting to see what PBC actually do moving forward, but the news officially now, yeah, Showtime is out of the game. We'll see what happens next. And I'm sure, as everyone has seen at the moment, Joshua Buatsi versus Dan Azeez has been officially, well, I won't say cancelled, but it's been postponed. It's no longer taking place on the 21st of October at the O2. Dan Azeez has pulled out of a back injury. I think they've said he trapped nerve in his back, which they couldn't get right in time. I haven't had a chance to speak to him. I did try and call him a little earlier, not necessarily about that, but obviously I would have found out how he was doing. But you know, anyone who knows Dan knows he don't answer his phone. It's a shame, and I know that there's people that are really pissed, especially those that have obviously booked accommodation that is either non-refundable or they've already missed the window for cancellations. So yeah, that's a bit bad. But you know, Eddie Hearn said a couple of weeks ago he heard a rumor that fight weren't taking place due to ticket sales and stuff like that. Now obviously the fact that came out 2 weeks ago and then Dan Azeez pulls up injured this week, it's one of them ones. It's gonna have people talking like, is the injury legit? Now I've got no way of verifying, because as I said, I haven't been able to speak to him, I haven't been able to see him this week, so I don't know. But it's like it probably could all be legit, but then you just, because of what Eddie said 2 weeks ago, now people are looking at Boxer sideways like, oh, so it really wasn't selling no tickets. Like, is that how you guys are really going down? Yeah, it's just one of them. It's one of them unfortunate situations. From what I've heard, the rest of the card's going ahead. I heard rumors that they was possibly looking to move the rest of the card to York Hall. Now, if that's the case, that's a really damning indictment, because even if you said a bunch of people turned back their tickets because the main event was heading, York Hall does about 1,200 people in it, 1,000 to 1,200 people at a push. If you can move the rest of the card there, then that ultimately means that you didn't even sell 5,000 tickets, 3,000, because I reckon if you put the rest of the card on, the majority of people would keep the tickets and then just say, all right, do you know what, we'll go there, especially those people that have paid accommodation. But then when you reschedule the fight, you probably would have to give out a code or something for people to get tickets half price for the rescheduled event or something like that, to try and, you know, ingratiate some goodwill or whatnot. But if you was to move it to York Hall, yeah, that's a really damning indictment, because that literally means that you probably only sold about 2,000 tickets to begin with, and that doesn't necessarily look good. Like, you better see if the copper box is open and put that on standby and have it there. I know a lot of people, it's not their like favorite place and whatnot, but needs must. At least if it's there, you can kind of save face. Well, yeah, we managed to keep about 3,000 tickets going, and I think Mikel Lawal and Isaac Chamberlain is now going to be the main event. That none of that has actually been fully confirmed. I haven't received an email about that. I haven't received any correspondence. I haven't seen anything on Twitter, but that's the rumors that I'm hearing amongst the, you know, sort of the boxing world. So without knowing the particulars, that's all I can really go on. It's a shame. Gotta feel bad for Joshua Buatsi. Obviously gotta feel bad for Dan Azeez, and gotta feel bad for everyone that was traveling to come to the fight. But yeah, it's not really looking good for Boxer at the minute. But I said earlier on today, I was talking with October Red, I said, you know what, don't be surprised if Buatsi Azeez doesn't end up as like a co-main event on like Chris Smith's next fight, and then the card ends up being pay-per-view, especially if he does actually have to do the Lawrence Okoli fight. I could see that happening, literally just throwing every single person that they've got on the card, Caroline Dubois, Adam Azeez, you know, Chris Smith, Lawrence Okoli, Richard Riakporhe as well, like literally just throw everyone on the card and make it a box office event. I would not be surprised if that was what took place next. But yeah, bit of a shame. We'll see what happens moving forward. Watch this space. And as I guess a lot of people would have seen last week, the WBA officially dismissed the appeal put in by Queensberry for Daniel Dubois, based on the Alexander Usyk fight, whereby the low blow / belt line / body shot that the referee ruled as an accidental low blow. They basically said there was no merit in it. There was no conclusive television evidence to prove that the referee had made an error in judgment, and ultimately the referee's decision was final and they were upholding his decision. Well, I had the chance to speak with Frank Warren a little earlier on today, and he was not happy about that decision. Now, I did question him and try to push back on some of his answers, as you're going to see in a moment. But yeah, he basically said they're going to appeal the decision. I don't know how far they're going to get with that, if I'm totally honest. I think it's a fruitless appeal. And at the time, because I wasn't actually able to have a proper conversation with Frank, I didn't get to ask him what's next for Daniel. But yeah, ultimately, I guess also because you guys know that the British Board of Control put the British title on the line for Wardley versus Adelier as well. So I wanted to kind of speak to him about that, but I ended up in a little bit of a scrum, which I accepted because there was a couple of things I wanted to find out. Some other people asked similar questions, so I kind of left that to them as opposed to me sort of finding out something a little bit different. Anyway, have a look at that footage, and yeah, I'll be back in a moment.
Hello Frank, how you doing? Alex the Box Sport the Song boxing podcast. Just a quick question, Frank, about the Lonsdale belt. Beautiful belt. We love it on the podcast. Is it good to get the belt contested for out in Saudi Arabia? I know there was a bit of talk with the British Boxing Board of Control.
Look, I mean, in theory, I could put that fight on in a sporting club in front of 400 people, and that's happened with lots of British title fights over the years. This is a big audience to show the best of, on paper, the best of the young British fighters. So, why should it not be there? We do the fight out there. It's the same fight that the board put out for the title. If Fabio was to lose the fight out there and it wasn't for the British title, he'd get stripped of it anyway. If he wins it, he doesn't get another notch on his Lonsdale belt. And if David wins it, he doesn't get the Lonsdale belt. So it's pretty crazy. It was ordered and everybody gets it, and I don't think anybody can complain about that. How many of these type of fights are going to happen? I don't think it's going to happen on a regular basis, but when there's a big fight, and if the guys can capitalise it and make much more money by doing that, you can't blame them. Because I tell you what, when you're getting hit on the head, your brain doesn't know whether you're in London, Scotland or Riyadh. Yeah. So just get well paid for what you're doing.
Yeah, it's a great fight, and to have the British title fight, obviously heavyweight as well. Fabio Wardley comes across as a good character. Do you fancy him for Queensberry if he comes out of this one?
Look, I've said to him, it's not a problem for me. We're blessed with that in Queensberry of our heavyweights, lots of them there, and depending how people lose, but whoever loses that fight, Fabio loses it, I have no problem in doing something with him. No problem at all. He's an exciting fighter. He's a couple of times he's got himself in trouble. In fights, he's showed what he's all about. He's a gritty sod, grits his teeth and fought himself out of it. So, yeah, why not?
Thanks, Frank.
Pleasure.
Frank, so with regards to this, you just said that you would be willing to work with Fabio past this. So is there any actual options, or was this literally a one-fight deal?
No, it's a pure, we just done a deal for the fight.
And in this fight, I mean, I'm assuming, Adelier, he is your fighter, so I'm sure you're championing your fight.
Correct in assuming that.
With regards to that, though, I mean, is there any almost trepidation from yourself to say, okay, well, look, I don't want to go too heavily to my side with David in case Fabio is interested in working with me in the future?
Not at all. David's our fighter. He's been with me from day one. Of course he's with him. I mean, that's what we, why would that be any different? That's it. He's our man, and we're with him. You know, Fabio's a fighter. It's what he does for a living. He seems a nice guy. I've only met him once. Good luck to him. Of course, David's our man. You know he's our man.
Okay, moving away from that very slightly. So we had the decision from the WBA with regards to the appeal over the Usyk and Dubois fight. Now, they've basically said that it was the referee's decision and they are going to stick with his decision. I've heard that you're not necessarily happy with that. Could you just go into a bit of that, what you mean?
Well, the referee's decision was quite a few things he did wrong. It was the referee's decision not to instruct the boxers before the fight as to what a legal blow is, belt line. You know, where a legal blow should be landed, what's below the belt, as we call it or not. In the WBA, it's the navel. The referee didn't do that. The referee called it a low blow. I don't think it was a low blow, and I know a lot of people think differently, but I've looked at that a million times. That was not below the navel, which is the shorts were up, and that was. The referee gave him nearly 4 minutes to recover, when at one stage he wanted a fight on. And he said to him, no, take some more time. That's not his job. He got it wrong in a big way. And the more I look at it, I was being quite sympathetic with him, thinking, you know, he's not been bad. But I'm pissed with it because it's bullshit. What he did is bullshit. And it's wrong. And they have not addressed those points. They just said, we're going with a referee. No, well, can you explain to us why you're going with a referee? And that we've not had any explanation of. So we will be appealing their decision.
But Frank, with regards to that, it's quite common, I've seen in quite a few different bouts where the referee won't actually tell you where is legal and where isn't. And I believe, isn't it supposed to be the case that if they don't state, then where, you know, that means that the trunks themselves are actually in a happy place for them? No?
Of course not. No fighter. The rules are, WBA rules, are the navel. So the trunk should be on your navel. That's the target area. All boxers wear high shorts, all of them, including Daniel Dubois. His shorts weren't on his navel, but that's what the area is. So we see people. Same night there was a fight in America. Did you watch that back? How many low blows? 15 low blows. The referee never even done anything about them. Some of them were on kneecaps, but a lot of them were around that thing. So please, the referee got it wrong. And nobody is going to tell me any different. I've been doing this a long, long time, around enough, and nobody's going to educate me on this. It was not a low blow. It's absolute and total, as we say from where I come from in Islington, bollocks.
Frank, with regards to that very last one, you see when you say, obviously, the fight that happened in the States, yes, there was loads of egregious low blows there, but then isn't that a case of it's the referee's discretion, so it has to be the right decision?
That's what the rules are there for. Can't be at the referee's discretion. So when somebody hits you up there, oh, that's not a low blow, it's my discretion. That's not what it is. What's the point of printing rules, which you have to read out and which you have to tell the fighter before the fight? The rules are, the referee's job is to explain to the fighter before the fight where the designated areas are. And not just that, various other things he has to go through with the boxers. If the referee doesn't do that, he hasn't done his job. End of story. And you see the film that thankfully we took where Don Charles says to the referee, brings it up about his shorts. He didn't even go into it.
Frank, thanks for your time. So yeah, as you see, Frank was pretty steadfast. He firmly believes that it's, to me, I don't know, I'm going to be real with you. I think it's delay tactics, because as long as he's got this appeal running, then he doesn't have to answer to Daniel Dubois as to like what he does next, and maybe Daniel isn't necessarily ready to, you know, to get back out there just at this moment. So the longer this goes on, the more time he gets with Don Charles, he gets to improve and work on some things in the gym, maybe, you know, do some sports therapy, sports psychology stuff as well. Who knows, it could all be a ploy just to sort of keep him out of the limelight for a moment, and then bring him back in a big way in maybe like a smaller fight where you can get a really big highlight knockout and then sort of progress him on. That's kind of what I think. I could be totally wrong, but again, leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think. I'm going to leave it there. But thank you everyone for watching. Again, like and subscribe, think about memberships, and I will catch you on the next video. There's going to be some big stuff coming up later on this week, but we'll talk about that later. So for right now, it's the Hardcore Casual out.